You ever get that feeling, that for you to win, somebody else has got to lose? It's this really powerful way of looking at the world called zero-sum thinking. And, it shapes almost everything from our careers to global politics. But here's the question. Is it actually true? Let's dig in.
So just think about that for a second. In every single competition, every single negotiation, is there always a winner and always a loser? No exceptions? That's the question right at the heart of what we're going to unpack today.
All right, let's start with what we all know. We are so often taught to see the world as this one giant competition, right? A whole series of battles where everything is limited and only one person can really come out on top.
Just think about classic games. In chess, for one person to win, the other player has to lose. It's built into the rules. Same with poker. The chips you rake in, they came directly out of someone else's stack. And of course, in sports, you've got the winner's podium and, well, everyone else. In all of these situations, the pie is fixed. There's only so much to go around.
Okay, but, and this is a big but, that is not the whole story. Not even close. The source material we're looking at today introduces this really powerful distinction. It argues that most of life isn't actually like a game of chess. And to really get why, we need to understand the rules of two totally different kinds of games.
So first up, we have the one we're all familiar with, the zero-sum game. It's simple math, really. My gain of +1 is exactly your loss of -1. You add them together, and the net change is always 0. The really crucial point here is, the size of the pie is totally fixed. Any slice I get is a slice you simply can't have.
And then we have this, the total game changer, the non-zero-sum game. Now in this world, we can actually work together to make the whole pie bigger. It's completely possible for both of us to end up with a bigger slice than we ever would have if we just fought over that original smaller pie. And this is where cooperation becomes a kind of superpower.
Okay, so how does this actually play out in the real world? Let's zoom in on something I think we can all relate to, negotiating a salary. This is just a perfect example of where we can see these two different mindsets clash.
This quote from our source material just nails the common approach, doesn't it? We walk into that room thinking there's a fixed pile of money and our only job is to fight for the biggest slice of that salary pie we can get. More for me has to mean less for the company. End of story.
When you see it this way, the negotiation is only about one thing, money, a fixed pool of cash. Every single dollar you gain is a dollar the employer loses. It's this adversarial tug of war. But you know what? It really doesn't have to be that way.
And this is the key question, isn't it? What if we just stop obsessing over that one single slice and start looking for ways to create a whole new pie?
And right here, this is the solution. A really savvy negotiator, according to our source, doesn't just fight over the pie that's already there. They actively work to expand it. They hunt for things that are super valuable to them, but maybe low cost to the employer. That's how you create a win-win.
So how do you actually do that? Well, you could ask for something like flexible work arrangements. That can be hugely valuable for your work-life balance, but it might cost the company next to nothing. Or you could negotiate for professional development opportunities. The company invests in you, which in the long run makes you more valuable to them. All of a sudden, it's not a fight anymore, it's a creative collaboration.
Now, what's really cool is this idea of expanding the pie doesn't just work for you and me. It scales all the way up to the most complicated interactions on the planet, international trade. So here you can see the two mindsets right next to each other. The zero-sum frame says trade is basically a battle. If one country is exporting a ton, the other one must be losing jobs. But the non-zero-sum reality, as our source points out, is that when countries trade, they get to specialize in what they do best. And what's the result? More stuff, cheaper prices, and a bigger economic pie for pretty much everyone.
Now, our source material makes an interesting observation here. It points out that the zero-sum frame gets used a lot in politics. By painting trade as this big battle of us versus them, it really simplifies a complex issue into a very straightforward story of winners and losers.
So why does that framing work so well on us? Well, the source suggests it's because it taps right into our natural cognitive biases. Our brains are kind of wired for the simple logic of a fixed pie. We often really struggle to wrap our heads around the more complex, counterintuitive idea that everyone can actually win at the same time. So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? The real power, it turns out, isn't just about winning every fight. It's about recognizing what kind of game you're actually playing, and realizing that you often have the power to change the rules yourself. Here's a super simple framework you can use in your own life. First, anytime you walk into a negotiation or a conflict, just try to identify the game. Is it really truly zero-sum? Second, actively question that fixed pie assumption. Is it a fact that resources are limited, or is it just a belief? And finally, get creative. Start brainstorming ways you can create mutual value and expand that pie for everybody involved.
And that really brings us to our final thought for today. Take a look at your own life, at work, at home, with your friends. What conflict are you treating like it's a battle over one single fixed slice? And what do you think would happen if you just paused, took a breath, and asked, how can we make this pie bigger together?